the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as God.
Can you sort of sense a kind of almost like a religious awe almost? We could build gods if we wanted to.
Did you hear the promises of Lucifer there? Greater understanding, longevity, long life, immortality.
I'm thinking of getting metal legs. It's a risky operation, but it'll be worth it.
Transhumanism. It is a philosophy which supports the idea that mankind should proactively enhance itself and steer the course of its own evolution.
You'll never get metal legs.
Transhumanists wish to become what they call post-human. A post-human is someone that has been modified with performance-enhancing body and brain augmentation to the point that they can no longer be called human. They have mutated themselves into an altogether new being.
The Lord God said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed.
And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring. Whose offspring? The serpent's offspring. Lucifer's offspring. The devil has offspring? And hers.
And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they would bear, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
I couldn't rape you if I wanted to. Angels are ill-equipped. I'm as anatomically impaired as a kendo.
How do I know you're an angel?
What, you mean aside from the fiery entrance and the expansive wingspan?
And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown.
They're called watchers. Kiss what they do.
It's easy for you to say. You get off light and raising. You get to stand there and read at Sodom and Gomorrah. I have to do all the work. What work did you do? You lit a few fires. I rained down sulfur, man. There's a subtle difference. Oh, okay, I'm sure.
When Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed,
Any moron with a pack of matches can set a fire.
that was Loki.
Raining down sulfur is like an endurance trial. Mass genocide is the most exhausting activity one can engage in, next to soccer.
And he was good at what he did.
I'll take this one.
You know, here's what I don't get about you. You know for a fact that there is a God. You've been in his presence. He's spoken to you personally. I just heard you claim to be an angel. I just like with the clergy, man. I just love it. I love to keep those guys on their toes.
The Book of Enoch.
You are tuned in to God's Property Radio. Here are your hosts, Sam and Dan.
All right, everyone, welcome back to God's Property Radio for episode 6. I go by Dan.
And I go by Sam.
And in this interview, as promised, we spoke with Gonzo Shimura.
Oh, yeah.
Of Age of Deceit, Face Like the Sun blog, and Canary Cry Radio.
Yeah, what was really cool about talking to Gonz, we had a basic, I would say, 3-part format going on. What we started out talking about, we just wanted to get Gonz's testimony, which was phenomenal. As someone who was raised in a Christian home, it's hard for me to imagine becoming a believer and not being raised as a believer. I mean, to just not have a Christian or godly foundation to help shape me is just something that I can't fathom. I mean, I can imagine to a degree, but having somebody like Gonz come to the Lord is just a big win for the team. How's that?
Yeah, I would agree. And really, just to point out, I think it's really great how the Lord brought him to himself, and then just the impact that Gonz has been able to have, or that God has had through Gonz, I should actually say. I was just today listening to the part 2 of Canary Cry Jim Wilhelmsen, and there's a guy on there, I want to say it was Justin that left a voicemail, and he was talking about how because of Gonz's Age of Deceit, he came to know Christ. He had been raised Catholic, totally left God, and then he came to know the truth because of the message that Gon left at the end. And like we said, you'll hear during the interview, that's really what all this is about, is to point believers towards the truth of Scripture and its relevance to today, and to point non-believers to that as well, but also to the ultimate truth and power of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically reaching out to an audience that the church isn't. Is that fair?
Yeah. Well, it's not only is the church not reaching out to it, these people wouldn't normally give church their time of day because they think the church doesn't want to deal with these things.
Not that Gonz's work doesn't reach out to everyone, because I really think it does, but a lot of the topics that he brings up, once again, just like Leonard, the church isn't talking about it. And that's what we're trying to do here at God's Property Radio. That's what Canary Cry Radio is all about. If you haven't checked out Canary Cry Radio, please do so. Those guys are killer and definitely have been a pretty good influence on us, I'd say, in some ways.
Oh, very much so. And I think we even told Gonz that he and Basil's the other co-host of Canary Cry Radio with Gonz, who we'll get him on here sometime. But they really have had an impact on influencing Sam and I and getting us to do what we do now right here. So one other thing I wanted to say too about Gonz's work, we're not saying that the work that Gonz does or Leonard does even replaces the church's work. The church has its place, and in reality, the church should be talking about these topics as well. But since they're not right now, or even a lot of times, pastors aren't even aware of a lot of these topics because they're not talked about or taught in seminary, really. We're part of waking them up and pointing them towards it. And as Gonz would tell you, and as Leonard has said, and we say, do your own research and look into these things for yourselves to see the truth of it, and if it is true.
Also, real quick, so the 3-part format.
Yes.
Okay, let me just talk
back on topic.
Okay. So back to what I was saying at the beginning of this. We start off with Gonz's testimony, and I apologize. I have probably, twin syndrome with Gonz in some ways. I mean, he comes from being
to creep you out, Gonz.
He comes from a competitive swimming background, which is exactly where my background is. And then he went into music, which is, again, where I went into after swimming, and spent, an entire decade making music. So we had a lot to relate, and we talked about some bands that we were into.
They're also born like 5 or 6 days apart, so that was weird too.
That was weird. That was cool. Anyway, so that was cool. We have a lot of common interests, which is great. Then once we got through his testimony, and actually, real quick, I want to disclaim something. In the interview, I said that I hadn't watched TV since about I hadn't owned a TV since 2000. And that's not true. I didn't mean to, I phrased it wrong. What I meant to say was I haven't paid nor been plugged into a television broadcasting channel system. So, I mean, I've had
DirecTV, satellite, anything like that.
So, yeah, I mean, I have a DVD player. I have a VHS player. That's right. You heard me. I think I might have
silence for Sam's antiqueness.
We won't get into my geekness. So, anyway, I just wanted to disclaim that I do have a television. I just don't plug into the network and haven't in well over a decade. It's just something that I don't want to be part of. But it doesn't mean that I haven't been at other people's houses and seen the news or seen what's going on. It's just I sort of bury my head in the sand with the media because I just can't take it. It's just like the radio, Just can't take the radio either, man. So after we talked about Gonza's testimony, we got into Age of Deceit, the first film that he did. It's called Age of Deceit, Fallen Angels in the New World Order. I recommend go on YouTube and check it out. If you really enjoy it, you can go to facelikethesun.com and purchase it. I did so. It's an excellent film, and it's 152 minutes long. And then after talking about that, we got a little into what he's doing with Volume 2 of Age of Deceit, which will be coming out probably in it's probably already out now. So you should check that out on YouTube too.
All right. Also, this is the first episode that we got into the Watchers, Fallen Angels, and the Nephilim. And this is
Genesis 6.
Yes, the Genesis 6 paradigm. This is an area that really excited me and really pulled me into this study. I saw Leonard's film, New World Order, Secret Societies, and that was excellent. Again, if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. I think we've been pushing that message every time we air. But anyway, it was very good and it was interesting, but I'm a Bible student. And I'm like, okay, I see how this is relevant to prophecy and today and to life and, all of that. And it was good. And I was doing my research. And then Sam stumbled upon this Genesis 6 thing. And I'd actually read Genesis 6 before. And I remember going that's really weird. Nephilim, what are those? But I just kind of glossed over it, just kind of ignored it like everyone else does. They don't talk about it in Bible school, so it must not be that important. And then Sam stumbled upon Rob Skiba, and that like blew my world wide open. And the Age of Deceit, and getting into it, this episode was really great. We will be talking a lot more about that. Again, we've got trying to line a couple guys up who are pretty big in the Fallen Angels Nephilim study. We've spoken with Gonzo Shimura. We're going to be trying to get a hold of Doug Hamp, L.A. Marzulli, and to end with, hopefully, Rob Skiba. So it's going to be good. We're going to be talking a lot about this subject, and we hope you guys enjoy it. So with that said, I think we'll get on into the episode.
Let's do it.
All right. Here we go.
All right, well, let's see where to start. I guess growing up, I was always kind of a conspiracy theorist of sorts. I was always skeptical of authority, which didn't always bode well. But I don't know how old you guys are, but I think we generally grew up in a generation that was inundated through the media, through entertainment.
Yes.
Of all these, science fiction, all kinds of crazy stuff. I remember back when I was 7 years old, Back to the Future 3 was in studios. And since then I was, way into science fiction. I love that movie. I wanted a DeLorean. I wanted to time travel. I wanted to do all that. And then, movies like The Terminator and stuff. But what was interesting was I because of my Japanese background, my nationality, I had my my aunt from Japan, she lives in Japan, send me VHS tapes. Right, it's just a little bit before DVDs, but she sent VHS tapes of Dragon Ball before it came to America. So I was way into that stuff, like hardcore kind of meditation stuff, shooting fireballs out and that kind of thing.
Did you ever try to center your energy with it? Because I got into Dragon Balls when I was younger when it came to America.
Yeah, what's funny is so I was a competitive swimmer as well. And one of the first times that I ever sort of, made an impact, if you will, I think I was 10 years old, and I swam the 100-meter backstroke, and I qualified for, it's called I can't remember what it was called, the national top something or other. There was a time standard that gets you into the top, 20 or 30 swimmers in the country.
Yeah.
And before that race, I mimicked what Goku used to do, which is, the centering meditation type thing.
Yep.
And I was in a tent and, eating a power bar. I don't know why we ever ate power bars. Oh, they're so disgusting. But yeah, I mean, that's, that was something that I definitely mimicked.
What age was that you were doing that competitively? Because I was a competitive swimmer as well.
I started when I was 7.
Okay.
And then at 10 years old, I was amongst the top in the nation. And then when I was 12, for my age group, 11, 12 age group, I was, for that year, which is 1995 or whatever, I was number 1 in the country in 2 or 3 events. Our relay broke a bunch of national records.
So were you born 82, 83?
83.
I was born 83 as well. I was January 83. So.
Me too. What day?
18th.
Okay, I'm 22nd.
Okay. So you just said happy birthday.
Belated birthday.
Man, I feel really young. I was born July 15th, 89.
That's all right. You're like Basil's age.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
I think Basil's 89 or something. So yeah, makes sense. My sister's 89 too. So, yeah, I mean, all that stuff happened. 11 years old. This was a big kind of not turning point, I would say, but just another huge impact from mainstream media, I would say, influencing me with my interest in UFOs, conspiracies, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. When I was 11, I went to go see Stargate in theaters. Do you guys remember that movie?
Oh, yeah. I have it on VHS right here, man.
So, yeah, I mean, I was like, oh, man, a portal to some dimension, and that's how the pyramids were built, and I was super into that.